Our second speaker today has been with our club for only about 8 months, and he's really endeared himself to us by volunteering to be Sergeant at Arms, the guy that comes at the beginning of the meeting and gets everything set up for us. I asked him what made him qualified to speak about his speech topic today, and he said, well, I've lived through it. His speech is 5 to 7 minutes. He's speaking from the Competent Communicator Manual, speech number 4, How to Say It. The name of his speech is The Successful Self-Saboteur. Devin Girardi, The Successful Self-Saboteur.
You can design your life to fall absolutely anywhere on the scale of happy to hateful, depending on how you discipline your thoughts. In nature, there's only two things. There's growth or decline. There is no neutral. I was choosing for a long time in my life to grow in a declining area. As a result of that, I ended up addicted to a dangerous stimulant called methamphetamine. I ended up addicted to methamphetamine for 7 years. Now, for those of you that have only heard about it on TV, methamphetamine is a very dangerous stimulant, leaving you with a euphoric feeling. Your pupils dilate, energy rushes through your body. You feel like you're invincible, you can do anything, and that lasts for about 9 months of continuous use. After that, daily use starts to bring your quality of life down. You end up being to a point where you're willing to rob those you love, you care about, your friends, your family, your neighbors. It doesn't matter. You're willing to forsake your family and your children just for your next fix. Once upon a time, I lived my life the other way. I lived my life to bring people down and to see what I could steal from people, what I could get out of the situation, how I could use the situation, what I could do that day to not work and still get high, what I could do that day to call someone that would give me a ride somewhere so I could get high. That was my life every single day. Every moment, every second, every waking hour of every day, I focused all of my energy, all of my thought energy on bringing other people down. Because I thought, for me, that is what would bring me up. I saw all the movies and I thought, oh wow, you can be a drug dealer, you can make lots of money, you can have lots of enemies, but that was cool. You legitimately thought that was cool. And it took a long time and a lot of runs through the bottom, a lot of runs through the very bottom of the machine, getting wrung out several times to finally figure out and realize that the better life that everybody talked about really did exist. That the light that everybody said was at the end of the tunnel really was there. My thoughts centered around, for a long time, me, 100%. I was all about me and making sure that my life was better than everyone else's. And I thought that that was the way to have happiness. I was adopted from birth, and so I automatically dealt with rejection issues. I didn't want to accept the love that was shown to me by my adopted family, and so I went the other way. I went the extreme opposite. For a long time, that's all I did. I woke up every day and I thought about getting high. That led me to being homeless on the streets of Solana Beach and Del Mar for 2.5 years. I slept under the bridge right by the fire station at the end of Jimmy Durante for 1.5 years. I slept under the bridge over on the San Lingo Lagoon for 8 months. I lived in holes, I lived in caves, I lived in the mushroom caves. I lived on the street. That was my life. That was my life by choice because I chose not to give up drugs. And my mother said, get the hell out of my house. I didn't really think it was true. So I left, went to the store, came back, and all my stuff was in boxes in front of the front door. And that was really an eye-opening experience for me. There was a letter, all my stuff was in boxes, and it said, when you get your shit together, you can come back. And that was a really eye-opening experience for me. I had never in my life thought that my mother, who said she loved me and cared for me, what was this? You're kicking me out? Why? What have I done to you? I didn't understand. In the middle of my addiction, I didn't understand that my selfishness was really pushing all those around me that I loved and cared about away. I really thought that my selfishness was just going to bring me to happiness eventually because, hey, I felt great, why don't you? I didn't understand. It didn't make any bit of sense to me. Since I rebelled against my parents growing up, it didn't make any sense that they loved me just because I existed. That didn't make any sense to me. I thought you needed to have something or do something to be loved. So after being on the streets for a long time, I finally figured it out. Okay, maybe this whole sobriety thing, I might give it a try. So I started down that road. 5 years ago was really when I really gave it a really good try. I said, all right, let's really try. I ended up sober for a year and some odd months. And then I started using again. I went down another 3.5 year road of using. The whole time, my thoughts always focused on me. The whole time, even 5 years ago when I started to get sober, my thoughts were focused 100% on me. What can I get out of it? 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 So it was like, oh, you gotta be selfish, you gotta be selfish and all this. I'm like, okay, I'll be selfish. It wasn't until about 1.5 years ago when I quit smoking cigarettes, when I stepped outside of myself to do something greater. I quit smoking cigarettes because I saw my 5.5-year-old pick up a cigarette butt off the ground. And I remembered once upon a time, I smoked because I saw the cool people smoking. And I wanted the ability to tell my daughter no. It was then when I made that decision to step outside of myself and have a larger reason that I really began to understand sobriety on a different level. I've been sober now almost a year off methamphetamine. And I still think about it. It still comes into my brain. I still wonder about it, but I don't have the same selfish desires anymore to sabotage my life. Because I realize now that really the only way that I'm ever really going to have happiness in my life is probably not going to be sitting inside a prison cell. It's probably not going to be on the run. It's most likely going to be giving back to those that have cared for me and my family over the years, giving back to those that I love and I care about, and actually adding value to other people's lives because they have added value to mine. I finally figured out that my mom was right once upon a time. She told me, she said, as a man thinketh, so he is. And I was like, that's BS. And so I was like, I'll prove you wrong. And I definitely didn't. Spent 7 years trying to prove her wrong and definitely proved her right. I dwelt upon sabotage, and that's what I ended up. I ended up sabotaging my life. Now, for the last 1.5 years, I have truly dwelt upon building others up, seeing how I can add value, seeing what I can give back, using my skills, which are many, to help other people. And I truly have added value to my own life, as well as adding value to others. So I really have found that I can design my life to be any way it wants to be, as long as I discipline my thoughts.